Well, first of all, again, I'd like to thank Jim McVeigh and the Tampa Bay Bowl Association. Hospitality, professionalism. Bruce Poley has done a tremendous job. The Highway Patrol, everyone involved with the bowl game, it's been outstanding. So on behalf of the University of Tennessee, I'd like to say thank you. Also, Larry Marfis, the Director of Athletics at the University of Tampa, who's a very good friend of mine, for their hospitality. The facilities have been first class. The accommodations, couldn't ask for more. Chamber of Commerce weather, maybe a little too hot, but who's to complain? But I think we've had a very, very good week of preparation. Great challenge ahead of us. I think we all know the respect that I have for Pat and his football program. They do everything first class in everything that they do. Tough, physical. When you look at the discipline of their football team with penalties, the way they execute, just very, very impressed. And when you go along, when you're breaking down an opponent, the more film you watch, it's always, they either get better and better and better, or you feel more confident. And they continue to get better and better and better when you watch them on video. And that's a testament to his football team. So we've had a good week of preparation, but as we all know, now it comes down to execution and making plays on game day.
Okay, Coach Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I'd also like to echo some of Butch's opening comments and thank Jim McVeigh, everyone here at the Outback Bowl. It's been absolutely first-class experience for our young men. It's great to be back. We were here a few years ago, and as we quality controlled the bowl experience with our seniors a few years back, they were just ecstatic with the experience that they had, and none of our guys that are on this team were a part of that experience. So to be here and to have it duplicated has been just absolutely outstanding. I'd like to thank everyone over at Jesuit High School. We've had great accommodations. We've had great practices. The weather has been terrific. It feels like 24 in Evanston right now, and it will feel like 25 on game day in Evanston. So to be down here in paradise and to experience the bowl system and the bowl experience is truly, in my humble opinion, what college football is all about. We've had a great experience at all the events. It's just been absolutely terrific. And as we look at our preparation, it's been a challenge getting ready for Butch's team. I mean, they've done a terrific job all season long, played one of the most competitive, if not the top schedules in the country. And you watch the way that they've just gotten better and better with the amount of youth that the coach is playing. It's been really impressive to see the way that they've improved in all three phases. One of the best special teams units in the country. Offensively, very explosive, great tempo, very physical, and then defensively the same way, physical up front, lockdown secondary, and just very well coached in all three phases and play very clean football. So it's going to be a great challenge for us on Friday, and a few more days here of preparation to get ready for it. But very thankful for the opportunity to represent the Big Ten, and very thankful to be here and looking forward to the challenge.
Okay, we'll start. Who wants to start us off? Right back here.
For both coaches, philosophies may be different, but from what I'm hearing going into this game, the approach is probably the same. Physical, take care of the football type of thing has determined who comes out on top.
I think you always take, when you go to a bowl game, is you take a first game approach. It's kind of the game of the unknowns. Obviously you have time to prepare and different nuances, but at the end of the day, it gets back to doing what you do and executing. But if you look at the bowl trends each and every year, it's about tackling. It's about taking care of the football, winning situational football, special teams, all that really goes into the elements of playing winning football. And, Pat said a word that he's exactly right with clean football. As a coach, you want a clean football game. You don't want pre-snap penalties. You don't want turnovers. You don't want missed assignments, all those things that are execution-based.
Yeah, I mean, from a prep standpoint, we're probably very similar. I've obviously followed Butch and his programs for a number of years and very similar approaches. From our standpoint, I want our guys to have a blast. This is a reward that they've earned, both teams. And to be here playing football in paradise on New Year's Day, when it's time to work, it's time to work and be focused and disciplined in what you're doing. And then when it's time to have good, clean American fun, go cut it loose and party your tail off. And I've watched two of our team, the Big Ten West that were 5-win teams go out and win bowl games. And I saw conversations prior to the bowl season that those teams shouldn't be involved, and I totally disagree. It's about the players. It's about their experience. And, I think any coach would want to play in the Final Four, but, those are 4 teams. And the rest of us, it's not about us as coaches. It's about the experience that our young men get to have, come down in great communities, go and be engaged and involved in hockey games and bowling events and busch gardens and going to, hospitals and seeing young people that are in challenging situations and, talking to our guys after that experience. That's what this is about. We get the reward to play in a very special venue in a pro stadium on Friday, but to see the experiences that the young men get to have, their families will all be down that can afford to make it. That's what this is about, and to keep the bowl experience where it is and to have as many teams and players experience it, I sure hope that no one has the great wisdom to ever change that. That would be a mistake, because this is a great experience for our kids, and we're very thankful for it.
Leo.
For both coaches.
Jimmy, right here.
And secondly, Northwestern's never won 11 games. What would it mean to reach that milestone?
Well, from a standpoint of structure, we approach bowl week very similar that we would a bye week, and also then the opening game of the season. So anytime we have a little bit of extra calendar days to prepare, we'll go on basically what would be a Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday structure of getting prepared. And it's been pretty good for us. I think we're 9-1 in opening games. We've played really good teams in our bowl games, and they've been, those old, slobber knocker, street fight, they've been battles. Last time we were here, that was a heck of a football game against Auburn, and we ended up on the short end. And so our guys are comfortable in that routine because it's not just the bowl experience that we do it. So I've learned to kind of evolve and tweak to that. I've been fortunate, haven't had a staff change in over 5 years, so our staff has been together. We've got a pretty good plan and know kind of what to expect and how to go about our business during this time period. And then from a standpoint of 11 wins, anytime you get to double-digit wins, it's a special year. And for us to be out of the postseason 2 straight years and be a win away, I think has been, really gut shots to our program for our players. They've been very frustrated in the offseason. They've been through a lot, and it's well documented. And to see the way our leadership has stepped up, to get to 10, really started last January when our senior class really stepped up and said the non-bowl participation is going to end now. We know it's going to be too late in August. It's got to start now. And our secondary and our defensive line really took over the attitude and the work ethic of our team. We reestablished our values and what we believe in at the core. And then we just grinded through it every day and took every day as an opportunity to get better. And, we knew it was going to be important that we started fast. You come out the gate and you're playing a Stanford team and a Duke team that, had been as successful as they have been. We knew we had to get out of the gate fast. And to do that, I thought was great confidence for our squad, especially with a freshman quarterback. And to see the way that he's improved and handled it has been really fun to watch and exciting, not only for now, but also for the future. So to get 11 wins, though, it's all about the seniors. In our senior class, if we're fortunate enough to find a way to win, this would be their second bowl win, which would be the first time in our program's history, and 11 wins for the first time. So I wish it was against my high school because it would be a lot easier. So that's not the case. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge on Friday, and just got to finish up the prep. Both teams. We're going to sound probably like broken records. It's kind of honing it in right now and getting your mind right and getting ready to go compete.
For both coaches.
Well, they you look at both programs, and again, a lot of similarities in philosophies, and a lot of times it starts, with special teams. Special teams is a way to impact the game. It's a way to impact field position. They've been outstanding, on special teams as well. And, we have to do a great job of defending all, areas of kicks, wherever they're at. And just, again, it comes down, that's what makes special teams great. It's one-on-one matchups. It's one-on-one battles, and it's individuals owning their responsibilities. And, we put a lot of emphasis on it, but it's a way to impact the game. It's a way to change field position. And we knew starting the season that special teams would, have to impact the game for us, being young in a number of areas. So, proud of our players, the way they bought in, but every week is a new challenge, and I think this will be the biggest challenge to date in terms of special teams from Northwestern.
Yeah, when I look at our opponent, and not just Tennessee, but every week, I'll start with their special teams tape. And when I give my big special teams talk in training camp, and Butch alluded to it earlier, but the character of a football team is revealed in their special teams. You know, when I walked into every young man's living room that we recruited, I didn't say, now listen, I want you to be the best right guard on the kickoff return team in the country, until I got into the program, right? They want to be the best running back, wide receiver, DB, whatever it may be. And then when you get them into the program, maybe that's their role as they start their careers off. And when you get young people to buy into that and understand the significance of those roles, you've got a chance, number one, I think, to execute. Then second of all, when you can execute cleanly and you can be consistent fundamentally and technique-wise, then you got a chance to make some explosive plays. And when you watch, you know, Tennessee, that's what you see. You see outstanding fundamentals. I mean, as always, you know, Solomon for us, or Miles, or in the past when we had Venrick as a punt returner, you know, the return men get their name called when you score, but it's the other 10 guys that are the ones that made it happen. And so, you know, from a standpoint of watching Tennessee, you know, this is a compliment. They have tendencies. You know, we'll see some teams that we both play that their flavor of the week, special teams, are all over the place. They have no tendencies, and you know you're going to probably play pretty well against them, because I doubt their kids really know what they're doing, because their coaches are drawing it up on napkins throughout the week. When you watch probably our two teams, it's probably pretty boring, because we do what we do, and we execute, and we're fundamentally sound, and the kids play their tails off. So it's going to be critically important. It is in every game, but I think when two teams are really good in that phase, it's going to be important. With the weather going to be the way that it is, it should be pretty clean. You know, when you have weather being a factor, that's sometimes when it really gets, I guess you'd say, entertaining.
But you had Derek Brooks come and talk to the team. I guess how did that come about? What was his message, and how did the team kind of react to him?
I think anytime you can have a Hall of Famer come and talk to your football team, I will tell you this, I thought he made, and I know he made a lasting impression on a number of our players, our coaches, and again, just you know, his values for what he stands for, his character, his work ethic. You're talking about one of the greatest players to ever play the game. His competitiveness, you know, just talked about the importance of team and really life lessons. And this is one of the opportunities, you know, again, being in postseason play, that it's more than football. It's about preparing your young men for life after football. And no matter what it is, whether it's football or the business world or what have you, special people have a different edge to themselves. They have a little something special about them. And, you know, that he could pour some of that out onto our football team was very, very special for us. And, you know, it's a relationship that we've had with him, and part of the days also with the Bucks and all that. There's a lot of parallels. And we have one of the greatest linebackers in college football here to be playing here as well. So
I was part of the neck roll generation, man. I couldn't play today.
Leo.
Both coaches, again, you had a chance to watch each other on film. Who does Tennessee remind you of that you played, and who does Northwestern come the closest?
That's a good question. I'd probably have to combine teams, you know. I mean, the secondary of Michigan, you know, probably the front of Michigan, Nebraska, Penn State, you know, that were very, very physical. The linebackers, like the Michigans and the Penn States and the Iowas, that are physical and fit their gaps right. On the perimeter, you know, we see great speed now in the Big Ten, since, you know, kind of a change of the guard, maybe sometime after I left as a player. Where, you know, the speed obviously has been an emphasis. And so there's great skill on the perimeter everywhere in the Big Ten. You know, up front, you know, the Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan offensive lines that were really, really physical this year. I don't know if we've seen a back as big. And quarterback-wise, probably a lot like Tommy Armstrong, but has really done a terrific job taking care of the ball. But you know, just when he gets outside of the pocket, big plays happen. So a lot of similarities, but you know, like I said, I got to kind of a la carte from a bunch of different things, because there's a lot of similarities to who we played.
exact same answer. That's a great question. You know, when you look at it, Arkansas, a lot of similarities to Arkansas in terms of mentality, toughness, the ability to run the football, stop the run, a little bit of Oklahoma in terms of scheme-wise, offensively, and some different things that way, up-tempo. And, you know, the thing when you watch Northwestern, again, they don't beat themselves. They force you into making mistakes. And they're very, very sound and very solid in what they do, and they force you to execute. And it gets back to that philosophy is that, we believe we're going to out-execute you. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to own what we do. We're not going to dibble and dabble, and we'll have wrinkles, but we're going to take great pride in the fundamentals and the small details. And I think in today's world, everyone says, oh, you made these miracle halftime adjustments. And that's the biggest question everybody says, is it not, Pat? What adjustments did you make at halftime? Usually your halftime adjustments are you executed.
Right.
You fit your gaps. You caught the football. You took care of the football. And when you look at them, they're very, very disciplined. So, again, Arkansas, Oklahoma, a little bit of flavor throughout the course of our schedule.
Right over here.
Yeah, Pat, I saw your season was impacted in the bowl game.
Yeah, well, we're probably as healthy as we've been. I released earlier that we lost Nick Van Hoos, our corner. That was a freak deal. He was just covering a guy and nothing. He didn't even go out on the play. He didn't even miss the rest of practice. And I get an injury update the next day that he might be out for the game. And I was like, what? It was a non-contact deal. And so Nick will be out. He had surgery. He's been out running around and should be good to go. He's got an opportunity to play in a postseason all-star game, and I'm very happy for him because if he would have lost his last college experience because of a freak deal in practice, that would have been awful. So, happy for him there. But I think we're going to have all the guys back. We've had, I think, 8 or 9 different combinations. But we also went into the season with that. A year ago at 5 wins, walking off the field against our rival, we had 30 players out in that game that had started a game for us. And, you quality control your season and you get done and you can't ever use injuries as an excuse or a crutch, so to speak, of why you didn't get the job done. And, we looked and the first thing we talked about as a staff is, all right, what would we do differently if we were to do the whole season over? And the one thing we talked about was playing more guys, forcing our team to consistently execute by giving them the opportunity to play. And so the best example I can give for you of that is when we went down to Duke, we took 70 guys and we played, I think, 66. And that started with a mentality that we were going to play more guys. But it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. And I reached out to Jim Tressel this summer, and Tress had done a great job of that with his teams every year at Ohio State. You'd see him early and you'd see all these different jersey number combinations that maybe you didn't see when you got to Big Ten play, but you would see them play a lot of players early, and then he'd let the competition on Saturday really unfold, and then that would also determine who was going to play the next week or would be categorized as a starter. So Adam Cushing and I had a long talk along with Mick McCall, our coordinator. Adam coaches our O-line, about really how many guys do we think can play that we can win with. And we felt like we had 9, maybe a 10th. But we weren't sure, if 6 through 9 or 10 were going to take the necessary steps to be and earn the right to go out there and be with the ones. And so we forced them. They didn't have a choice. And those kids have stepped up. We've had a lot of guys fill those roles and play well, and I'm very proud of them, very thankful for them. And, we got a couple guys that, Matt Frazier with what he's been through, and you've probably seen the article, but a young man who's been through 3 surgeries. We go get ready basically in summer workouts, and he's in ICU because he's got a staph infection that came out of the blue. To now, again, be out starting and starting most of the year has been really special. So a lot of pretty cool storylines there.
Dave.
Yeah, for both coaches, how do you get but be smart about it? Have fun, but be smart. And also, have you ever had, in your careers, had to send a kid home from a bowl game?
When I speak for us, last year was an unusual year because really everyone in our football program had never experienced a bowl game. And that's really hard to fathom at the University of Tennessee being, I believe we're 4th in all-time bowl appearances. And I think the experience that we had at that bowl game, but the commitment level that our kids made in their preparation, there was evidence behind it, and we had the success that we had. And we're hoping that propelled us into this bowl preparation. And every team is different and has different personalities, but they had a great experience. And, getting to Tampa in the Outback Bowl is something that drove our football team. I'll never forget it. We're playing at Missouri, and it's about 23 degrees. And before the kickoff, Jalen Reeves-Maben gets everyone up, and he says, if you don't like this weather, let's win so we can go to Tampa. And, you know, it kind of drove our football team. So you have to rely on your leadership. You know, your message of consistency is all the time, and you do. You want them to enjoy the bowl experience. You want them, you know, but it's a balancing act, and you rely on your seniors. You rely on your individuals. You know, for us, you know, I would say about half of our football team has never been to a bowl game. So again, it's new things that you have to reteach them. But our players have done a good job to date of managing, enjoying themselves, but also when it's time to work, you know, get your work in and enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, a lot of similarities to the way that we approach. First of all, we get done with finals maybe a week earlier, I think, than the semester schools. So we have a week in Chicago that, you know, we have no school obligations and nothing on the back end. So we do a bowl week up in Chicago. Went to a Blackhawks game, Bulls game, went bowling, went down to a soup kitchen in downtown Chicago and had 3/4 of the team there, and went to a comedy club experience. And that was kind of, especially for this year's team, which our senior class is the only group that's been to a bowl game. For our underclassmen, by Thursday, they were gassed. All right, they were tired, they were worn out. And so when I got done after Friday's practice, I said, so think about how you feel right now. And if you feel this way on Thursday in Tampa, we're going to get our fannies whipped. So you have to understand what you can do and what you can't do based on what your role is. And some guys can go, you know, hoot with the Owls and soar with the Eagles, right? Other guys, they need to go and lay down and take a nap all afternoon to get prepared for the next day. And then you rely upon your senior leadership. And our seniors, you know, were in the Gator Bowl, and we were successful in that experience. And they've done a really good job leading down here. No, we have not, in my 6 bowl experiences, have not sent anyone home. I would hope that we would never have that problem. You know, we talk about teammates looking after teammates, and the first sign of a great leader is a guy that can lead himself. And, you know, if you can't lead yourself to make great choices with this experience and the responsibility that you have to represent our program, your family, you know, our conference, the Outback Bowl here in this great community, then I question whether or not you should be in our program, let alone be here. So I think that starts in recruiting. You know, you recruit the right guys from the right families, they're going to make the right choices. So I was at Bahama Breeze last night with my boys for dinner, and, you know, the whole, I don't know how many of our guys were there eating dinner, and, you know, that's what it's about. It's about the camaraderie and the relationships that are built. It's a 20-year reunion for me with my Rose Bowl teammates, and, you know, we're making fun of each other more now than we did back then. So, and it wasn't because of what happened on the field. It was what we did in the locker room, what we did at the bowl experience, and that's what makes this type of week and this type of experience so special for the guys.
And to answer your question, I've never had to send anyone home as well. And same exact philosophy that Pat just spoke about. And you never want to do that as a coach, but also it's about accountability, and it starts with leadership and leading yourself, just like he said, but also, you know, your seniors and your leadership taking accountability for their teammates as well. So I've never had to do that.
Jimmy?
Senior 10 wins, Jackson's rush for almost 1,300 of your offense.
Well, I think the 2 opponents, that we played had a lot to do with that too. You know, we did not control the 6-inch war against Michigan. They played outstanding up front, and we just could not get things going offensively at all. Against Iowa, it's really a tale of 2 halves. You know, we moved the ball pretty well in the first half. We needed to get things started the right way in the second half, and we didn't. And then we had a fumble, you know, and I appreciate Butch's kind words earlier, but we had a fumble quarterback, running back exchange when we were down 2 scores and gave Iowa a short field, and we went down 3 scores. And, you know, as Butch knows, preparing for Iowa a year ago, that's a death sentence against that group, and we just couldn't overcome it. And then we were patient, I think, in our other games. I mean, we didn't run it real well against Wisconsin every play, but we were patient. I think JJ's a tough-minded kid. He's a true sophomore that, you know, I think in high school, if you go back and watch him on your Rivals tape, you know, he wasn't real flashy and real sexy, but he was really efficient and really tough and real physical, and that's kind of what he's been. You know, Warren Long has played really well back there for us, and so has Solomon Vald. So I think we've taken some carries off of JJ's shoulders as the season has gone along by having 3 guys back there, and I believe it's helped his production. But he's been critically important. There's no doubt about that in our success.
Right back there.
Pat, in your experience, how often does it happen where a player that you see on tape, once you get to the game, is different than maybe what you saw on tape? And I ask specifically about Josh Dobbs because at times he seems like he surprised teams by how difficult he is to tackle.
Yeah, he won't be a surprise. We've watched every game. He's the real deal. Thinking back through my 6 bowl games as a coach, when you watch guys on tape that made plays, and it makes you stay up late at night, and you try to create ways to make sure that you limit their ability to do that. Usually big-time players step up in big-time games, and so they're going to make their plays. They're going to do the things that they do well, and they're going to be X amount of practices better. But again, I don't want to speak for Butch, but you're usually pretty smart with your players that are your veterans at this time of the year. You're going to get them the right reps, you're going to get them the right experiences, but then you're going to, also rest them a little bit, you have to expect him to get his yards and make his plays, but at the same time, you've got to worry more about yourself. If you don't do that, you're not going to execute, and you're going to get exposed even more.
Yeah, right down here in front.
Coach Jones, you're going to look at Brian. How important has his personality been to kind of fabric of those?
First of all, not a lot of bowling skills, but that's kind of Brian's personality coming out. And he's been one of those seniors that's really played his best football this year. He's been very stable for us. He's provided stability for us, not just in the back end of our defense, but in our football program. And very proud of him, the way he stepped up and he's been vocal in his leadership, which, he's kind of been a quiet leader, so to speak, and just maybe led the defensive backs or the defensive side of the ball, but he's really spoke up. He's been a member of our players' staff, and the way his leadership has really grown and developed, I'm really proud of him. So he's been a rock of stability there for us.
One more question here, Leo.
Both coaches, Mike.
I think it's a line of scrimmage game. Pat just alluded to a 6-inch war, and he's exactly right. And, I think I don't want to speak for him, but I think I know him well enough, and he knows me well enough, that our philosophies parallel each other in terms of, you win up front. It's a physical football game. That's what football is. Football still comes down to blocking and tackling and executing. And, their front 7 is outstanding. Their back end is outstanding. They're going to run the football, at us. So, again, it's going to be one of those games. And, there's so much that goes into it from a toughness standpoint, not just mentally, but physically as well.
I definitely feel from a standpoint of, watching the way they've been able to run the ball on everyone. It's been impressive, and it's not one of those where you're watching them play against opponents that aren't outstanding. You'll watch some teams, and that's why I think stats are for losers. You watch them play against teams, and you watch the opponent, and you wonder what their thought process was going into the game on how they thought they were going to stop a team. And again, maybe they didn't execute. And you watch the teams that Tennessee has played, and they're outstanding, across the board. And they've been able to move the ball down the field, running the ball, great play action pass off of it against everyone, and then you flip it over. I can't remember, and I know there are, but I can't remember seeing any reps where they didn't fit plays properly. And great effort to the ball, and great tackling and physical when they show up in a bad mood defensively. So, yeah, I think it obviously will be, but, I think both teams will be well prepared. Both teams, I think, know who they are. And it should be a very entertaining game. And when you think about the bowl season, you just got to expect the unexpected. That just what ends up happening. I'll go back to I think the 6 that I've coached in as a head coach. You go in with a plan, and then you better be ready to adjust, because that's just the way it's going to happen. And you hope you do the right things, and you hope you give your guys the best chance to go out and win, and they go out and make plays. And But it should be a heck of a game. Both teams are led the right way. Both teams play the game clean, play it the right way. And it should be very, very entertaining for fans. And to have the nation for an hour when everybody wakes up, and on New Year's Day to have the entire country watching our game, it should be great for both of our programs, not only for our fans, for our players, for our families, but for recruiting. So it should be a lot of fun.
Thank you, coaches, for being here. Thanks, everybody, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.